Greetings and salutations. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. My name is Jake Query. This is Derek Schultz, and on this episode number 116, I believe, right, Derek, of the Query and Schultz program on the ISC Sports Network, I would like to formally announce to all of you that we have a breaking news situation. Very seldomly has breaking news happened while we are in the process of recording the show. Typically, it happens right after we're off the air.
It does seem that way, yeah.
There have been a few times, Jeff Saturday's hire, for example, while we were on the air, and it happens. But in this episode number 116, for the first time, something that has never happened in the previous 115 installments of this non-award-winning program, Derek has figured out how to lift his chair.
I did, yeah. So
we're very excited by that.
So there's a lever under here, and, well, I don't want to hit it now because I'm sitting on it, so it'll go down. I don't want it to go down. I want it to go up. Okay. But I kind of overcompensated a little bit, and I went a little too high initially, so I didn't want to make you feel bad. Even though my standing on the show is like this, where you're here, physically I want us to be kind of on the same level.
Okay. That's a nice undershirt you have on.
I don't have an undershirt, actually. I did trim for the holidays. I trimmed up a little bit. So I set my razor on, I have an electric razor for the
I guess it's supposed to be, like Christmas Eve is supposed to be hellacious in the weather forecast?
Yeah. Supposedly it's supposed to get real messy
later
this week.
We've got Newfields Lights Christmas Eve evening.
Ooh. I think there is going to be snow on the ground, which in Indianapolis usually is a bad thing because it's Indy and people do not know how to drive in the snow.
I do. I'm fine.
You don't know how to drive on perfect weather conditions, so.
Oh, I'm an excellent driver.
Rough for you.
I'm an excellent driver. In terms of snowfall, avalanche, things just caving in on you, that's how Minnesota felt in the first half. That's how the Colts felt in the second half. But lo and behold, the Colts did what they needed to do, and I was worried about that. Derek, I was worried that the Colts were going to screw this up. They were going to lose that game, and they were up 33-0, and I thought, oh, my gosh, they're going to lose. They're going to lose, not the game, the draft pick. They right now slotted 6th. They would have fallen down to 9th. They still are within range for a quarterback. And they managed to reach up and do what great teams do, and that is find a way to get it done. And they did just that by letting Minnesota come back and beat them.
Can we just say this? It was an incredibly entertaining game.
Sure.
Just a different type of entertainment, I think, in the second half compared to the first half. You saw something, we all saw something on Saturday that might not ever happen again. That might not ever happen again.
A quarterback throwing for 417 yards after halftime?
33 points. There's a certain threshold. In this Twitter day and age, you've been here before, there's a certain threshold that a game needs to cross before I'll fire off some tweets that I normally will just keep in the drafts.
Right.
So I fired off a tweet about Minnesota being frauds or whatever else when it got to 33. Because I'm like, well, at this point, they're not going to blow a 33-point lead, right? Of course, they end up blowing it. But nobody gave me any brushback on that. It's almost like even the Vikings fans were shocked that it went the way that it did. So after the game ended, I went through my mentions thinking, oh, my God, there's going to be all these people, Joe in St. Paul who finds my tweet or whatever else. And I didn't get any responses on anything that I wrote.
I think a lot of people probably have you muted.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all. I'm up to 17K, baby. And only 6K are bots. So I'm up to 11K.
Have you noticed the bot increase lately?
You said you were getting it. I haven't noticed. There have been times where I've noticed, but not right now.
It's like the robocalls.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of go like I started noticing, I had about a 2-week stretch where any tweet that I sent, especially if I would tweet about something that was trending or that was a topic that was trending, the responses would be like crypto coin. And, it's like, what?
I did get some Bitcoin. Like in my mentions every morning, there'd be a new
do you have Bitcoin?
All that, not Bitcoin, but NFTs. I get those in my mentions.
Those are big.
But that's about
those are a great Christmas gift.
But you're right, Jake. I tweeted this actually at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and the Colts were still like somewhat in control of that game at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And I said, look, people are on edge about this, but just sit back and relax. Because if the Colts win, cool. You got to see them play well and win for an afternoon. If the Colts lose, draft position.
Right.
So the people calling it, this is the worst Colts loss ever. No, it's not. That game had no stakes.
I would agree with you on that.
It's embarrassing, and it sucks to be etched in history, but that's not even close. I can name 5 losses that were way more soul-crushing than that one. 41-0 to the Jets in the wild card round in 2002.
Okay.
Last year in Jacksonville in the finale.
Okay.
You had a win-or-go-home game.
Yep.
I think you could argue this year in Jacksonville was a more soul-crushing game. Certainly it was an eye-opening game.
You're missing the biggest.
I mean, the Steelers' loss is the worst loss in Colts history.
Correct.
Not because the Steelers stink. They went on to win the Super Bowl. But that was, Jake, it was a fait accompli that the Colts are going to be the Super Bowl champs that year.
Right.
And to have it go the way that it did, you could take the 2 Chargers losses. No one talks about the 07 divisional. That was the final game at the Dome. The Colts were 10-plus point favorites. Volek played. Tomlinson was hobbled. Gates was hobbled. And the Colts still lost that game. And it cost them a shot at the undefeated Patriots in the AFC Championship game. No one talks about that. That was a soul-crushing loss.
The Colts, for the second time this season, showed the ultimate disrespect to Frank Reich. It's one thing to have fired him middle of the year, a little humiliating for a head coach, although we now know they're going to pay him $36 million over the next 4 years.
Yeah, do you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's nothing, Derek. I looked it up. We'll get to my Frank Reich comment in a second. Okay, I'm going to write down, circle back to Frank comment.
Okay.
The Colts last year, their overall revenue was $485 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So a little short of what IndyCar paid you.
That's right. The salary cap, I think, was 205. Is that right?
That 220, I thought it was.
220. That sounds
yeah.
right.
For some reason, I have 20.
220 sounds right.
Okay.
So that leaves $265 million for Jim Irsay to play with after payroll.
Yeah.
So his staff and his operating costs. I mean, how much is that? You know, how many people work for the Colts? Let's say 100. We'll go 200.
Yeah.
And let's say he's paying each one of them. If there's 200 people and he's paying each of them $100,000, that's $20 million right there, right? So he's got $245 million to play with. We haven't paid coaches yet. Say he's got 10 coaches on staff, and on average they make $3 million a year. That's $30 million. We're down to $215 million. It's just sitting around.
Sorry, salary cap 208 this year. I wanted to make sure that we had that right.
We went generous. Yeah. So there's $215 million still laying around. We've already paid everybody. We've already paid operating costs. We got to keep the lights on at Lucas Oil Stadium. He doesn't pay that, but we're going to pretend he does.
And the roof.
And the roof. He doesn't pay that, but we're going to pretend that too. We'll give $20 million for that, right?
Sure.
Okay, $195 million.
Yep.
Okay. So.
Okay. Where are we at?
$195 million.
Yeah.
That's profit.
Yeah.
Sitting just.
Uh-huh.
Now next year you get another 100. You get another $485 million coming in.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't hurt him that bad. But they did the ultimate disrespect to Frank Reich because Frank Reich, if you looked at his resume, and right now he's updating. He's at Kinko's right now updating it.
LinkedIn.
What's that?
LinkedIn.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's Tinder for business.
By the way, your LinkedIn page still says host at iHeartMedia. You might want to change your LinkedIn page.
I don't think I have a LinkedIn page.
You do. It's you interviewing somebody in Pitt Road.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You should go on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm a business professional. You're not.
Okay. So, Francis Reich, and then it has his degree, BS sports marketing and BS, probably theology or something like that, University of Maryland, 1984, 83, whatever it might be. And then, quarterback, NFL.
Yep.
Top of it, it probably says offensive coordinator, Super Bowl champions, right?
I would put that probably up
right underneath it. Quarterback, largest comeback in NFL history.
Yeah. Be in the award section, maybe? Or the notable achievements?
I would say that's towards the top. And the Colts just said, you know what? We already fired you. Now we're going to take that record from you. And they said, the Colts, and I'll give them credit because it was calculated, the Colts at halftime called down to Jeff Saturday and said, Jeff, do you want Frank Reich upstaging you? Let's put him out of the conversation altogether. Take the record from him. And they handed the record over to Kirk Cousins. Here you are, Kirk. Biggest comeback in NFL history.
I just think it really shows how numb, for lack of a better term, we all are to the 2022 Colts. That I don't know about you, I couldn't even get angry. Like Vince said to me, "Hey, I can't wait for the show today," and I was thinking to myself, "Well, I'm not going to light the Colts on fire because they've already been burned and extinguished, and it's charred. It's charred flesh. There's nothing else to say."
Have you ever been to the Yuletide?
No. I know what it is.
Right. So the Yuletide, my family goes every year, the whole family. And my nieces and nephew are really, they like the symphony and all that. I mean, the whole family goes. 11, my dad buys the tickets in November. And it's a whole talk show, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, what day works for everybody? It's hard to plan for 11 people.
Yeah.
My mom and dad really enjoy watching Colts games. So my dad intentionally bought tickets for a Saturday performance. And then 2 weeks ago, they flex the game, right? And I actually had someone that was like, I can't believe you would have gone to Yuletide. You're a sports talk show host. You should have stayed home to watch the Colts game. And I'm like, number one, there's DVR, right? Number two, there's social media where you can see every play. Number three, and most importantly, I don't care what the record is, it's Yuletide. It's the holidays, and it's my family getting together to get ready for Christmas. But they're 4-8-1 at that point. Mm-hmm. I mean, does anybody
drop what you're doing? Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, it literally is. We are back to my young person, adolescent Colts, where it's something that watch in the background while you're doing stuff on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were on the fence about whether this was the worst season of this century, or you can go back a ways. I think this is arguably their worst season in Indianapolis. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic.
Based on the expectation.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just saying that was the cherry on top of the disaster Sunday on Saturday, honestly. That officially, to me, clearly made 2011 the second worst season, right? Because at least in 2011,
you knew
pretty much right away, you knew, if you didn't know, then you knew about an hour into that game in Houston in the opener what you were signing up for, right? Whereas with this, the Colts were 3-2-1 6 weeks ago. They were a bad 3-2-1, but they were in it. And what's most frustrating is watching Tennessee take a nosedive. The bar for the Colts to be a playoff team this year is so low, and they're going to fall well short of it.
And here's the other thing. Part of why I think part of the disaster for the Colts right now is not just that they've won one of their last 8 games, something like that. They're on a 4-game skid or whatever it is. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. They got a quarterback that just signed an endorsement deal with Crestwood Village, all of it, right? And so, but here's the thing. In the division, you have a yin and yang here. You have the yin of the fact that Tennessee is backpedaling and the division appears to be opening up again, and you think, what if we'd not gone to the Ellinger experiment and started the downslide? Yeah. But the yang is you've got a team in Jacksonville that has a nasty front four defensively that's starting to figure out how to play. And Derek, I know that I'm biased because I watched him in college and was clearly a fan of him as a player. But I said when Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson, this is the closest I've seen to a Peyton Manning level field command. And it has not been a good run for him as a young player in Jacksonville. But after the rookie year of a lot of lumps and a lot of losing, he's starting to figure it out.
Well, last month he's been great, yeah.
And look out for the Jags. I mean, all of a sudden now.
Something else I'll throw in, Doug Peterson knows what he's doing.
Yes.
He's a good coach. And the Jaguars usually have not had a good coach.
Right.
In fact, they've had a caricature of a coach
Urban
at times.
Meyer?
Yeah, I mean, Jack Del Rio with the axe, remember? When that's your gold standard, that's pretty rough.
Didn't he chop his finger off?
If you're just, I think the punter chopped his shin off or had to get his leg amputated at the shin or something. Didn't he?
I think that's right.
It was something pretty serious.
That's right.
That and Marty Cordova falling asleep in a tanning bed and being unavailable, having to go to the DL in baseball. Those are the two most prominent accidental sports injuries.
Well, there was one fellow when we were doing the show together. Remember they had a ruptured body part?
Testicle, yeah. Yeah, he blew a testicle. I don't remember how that happened. I don't remember how the testicle was blown, but he blew one out.
Derek, it's a family program, please.
Well, you have two, so the other one can produce what you need it to, if you needed it to. Like as of right now, I have both intact, but they don't produce anything viable because I got snipped. Guy, Jake, we have a largely male audience, so we can talk about male issues and things like that on the show and be mature about it without being like
I think we have more females than you think.
Oh, no, we do. We definitely do. Well, I mean, and this is content for them, too. I mean, I'm happily married and all of that, but people are maybe interested in...
You're using a booster seat.
What's happening. The health and viability of
You're using
what's
a booster
going
seat.
on.
I mean, I don't know what health and viability you're talking about. But anyway.
Well, you're in your 50s now, so, that's going like this.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively.
Speaking of need a boost.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jaguars, though, I mean, they may win the division.
Yeah, they're game out.
The problem is they're not going anywhere because they're young. So what I'm getting at is, for Jim Irsay, the AFC South is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how long has it been since they won the division?
14.
And they may be looking at a car passing them in the left-hand lane that is not coming off the gas anytime soon.
But you know what? To be fair, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't disagree with what you're saying. We did this in 19. Remember when it was like Watson and Blake Bortles was coming off the great, or 18, 19. Tennessee was about to go to the AFC Championship game. I need to see some sustainability from these AFC South franchises.
Well, but
before
my
I
point
say
being,
that,
Derek, but there's none of it with the Colts.
What I would say, this is how I would frame it. All of those teams have a reason for hope, and the Colts right now don't.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
like
yes.
like Houston's got the number one pick. Hope. Jags have Trevor Lawrence. Hope. Tennessee has consistently been the class of the division.
And Tennessee
hope.
last year seemingly drafted a young quarterback that's just been sitting in.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that
skilled,
with
right?
Willis. Yeah, but the Colts, you're going to have a new quarterback. You're going to have a new head coach. You're going to have a new general manager.
I don't think you're going to have a new general manager.
Still not? Even after that, Jake?
I don't. Here's the thing.
It is impossible
This is the
to
challenge.
sell.
This is what's hard. This is where Jim Irsay screwed up. Where Jim Irsay screwed up was once they got rid of Frank Reich. You need to assess and evaluate whether your bad year is the fault of your coaching or the fault of your roster. And when you fire a coach and then put in a learn-on-the-job coach, you now have negated the variable to determine whether or not it's one or the other. If you had put a coach in there that you trusted either their ability because they had a track record of being a good head coach, and I realize in the middle of the year you're not going to pluck somebody, but somebody that has a coaching acumen or experience about them, where then if the team started to play well, you could go, yep, see, this shows that this roster with the proper coaching can win. But when you put in a coach, nothing against Jeff Saturday at all, but when you put in a coach that is himself learning on the job, when it doesn't go well, then you still ask yourself, is this coaching or is this personnel? And that's what they needed to have spent the last couple of weeks trying to figure out.
Yes, I agree, but we go back on what GMs, owners, coaches say all the time, right? They'll say one thing, 6 weeks later they say something good. Look at what Irsay handled the Reich situation. He gave him basically a vote of confidence. 2 weeks later, he gassed him.
Right.
So, Jake, to me, how you have to approach this if you're Irsay or anybody else, it's what can I sell to this fan base? And Chris Ballard is unsellable right now. If it's a 4-12-1 season with the worst collapse in NFL history in year 6, it's unsellable.
No.
With another quarterback failure. I just think this team desperately needs – they don't need a full rebuild. There are some pieces there, like even Pittman and Pierce. There are some guys on this roster who I think could really emerge in a stable situation.
I think Chris Ballard, we know, he's a good evaluator of talent.
Yeah.
Honestly. Finding talent and then molding talent into a team are two different things.
I agree. But they need somebody else to come in and do that. I think if you're looking for positives from Saturday, I think one of the biggest positives is that it was the death knell.
Now, did you mean the day Saturday or the coach?
Sorry, it's Saturday the day.
Okay.
In the loss to Minnesota, it was officially the death knell for Jeff Saturday's coaching internship, because that's basically what it is, and Chris Ballard's tenure. They've reached the point of no return. There is no coming back from what you did on Saturday.
I will disagree.
Assuming that they're going to lose
I'll disagree
at least 2
regarding
out of the
Ballard.
last 3.
By the way, we should have mentioned, and thank you so much for the continued support of Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lending, who, of course, is the official title sponsor of Query & Schultz. Bailey & Wood, located right here in central Indiana, and keeping the money right here in central Indiana, because not only are they helping to get Hoosiers in a home here in central Indiana and doing so with the best rates they can find, but also philanthropically involved in bettering the lives for Hoosiers, particularly in the south side of Indianapolis, but throughout central Indiana. So mortgages in a snap is Bailey & Wood. And Derek, their website is bafg.com, right?
No. That's not their website.
BAWFG.com.
Yes, BAWFG.com.
Sorry, I forgot the
That's all right. We'll get that in post.
Wood.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Their website, Derek, of course, is BAWFG.com, right?
It is, yes, okay. BAWFG.com.
Mortgages in a snap. And we are inside of the Lou Malnati studio. Coming up, we'll do our Lou Malnati's Look Who's Cooking. And Lou Malnati's now, again, as I've said many, many times, and we had several people, Derek, that reached out to us over the last week just with tweets alone about how fabulous Lou Malnati's is. But their location on Ferguson in Broderpool, right on the canal, perfectly cozy interior in terms of a bar. The kids are going to love the pizza there. You can get yourself a cold beer or a soft drink, whatever it might be. But it's a great-looking atmosphere on the inside and big screens to watch games
Nate
as well.
Got a Lou's gift card for his company holiday party as a gift. And our buddy Matthew, who supports everything that we do, Matthew in Maine, there are no Lou's, unfortunately, in New England, ordered at tasteofchicago.com and got Lou's pies sent to his house in Maine.
Beautiful.
Yeah, delicious Lou's pies.
With that, by the way. Thrilled.
Are you ready to? Let's do our Who's Cooking right now. Because there were some positives, Jake. I mean, they had the best half that they've had all season with what they were able to do.
The defense played well and special teams played well.
I thought Dio had a great game. They had 7 sacks. They had 7 sacks. They forced 2 turnovers on downs. They scored on special teams. They scored on defense. It's inexplicable how you lose a game if you were just handed a sheet that said all of those things. But it's the 2022 Colts, right? I got to go with Chase McLaughlin because kicker was one of the big things entering this year that they were uncertain about, and they wanted to solidify that spot, and he's really solidified it.
He has.
He's 8 of 11 from distance. It got to the point, Jake, where
define distance
50 plus. Okay. That 4th and 1, I think, with as bad as the Colts offense has been and as good as McLaughlin has been, I actually was leaning like 51-49. I was leaning towards them just attempting that field goal. It was 53, right? I think it was right. It was 53 yards. They chose not to. It would have helped if Matt Ryan didn't curl up like an armadillo after he snapped that ball.
How do you have?
I thought he had it, by the way.
How do you
have
how do you have a guard making $20 million a year that when he was drafted, your owner said was going to be like an 18-year NFL veteran Hall of Famer, and you can't get a 4th and inches?
My problem with the Colts is that while it's true that this offense is very limited and you don't want to make the big mistake, you can't be completely scared to do anything.
Right.
And right now, Parks Frazier and Jeff Saturday and that offensive brain trust, they're completely frightened of doing anything. I mean, how many running back carries did they have in that game?
What have they been outscored in the second half between the Dallas game and the Minnesota game? 60 to nothing in the
36 and 33.
69 to nothing? It's not real strong after the half.
No. I mean, it's nice, I guess, if you're one of those teams, but not nice if you're the Colts. Deion Jackson's a backup. Zach Mox is a backup. Like, to give you're donating downs.
But Derek, they're not going to be backups much longer because we now
ball.
know Jonathan Taylor high ankle sprain likely out for the year.
Good. Shelve him, get him healthy.
What?
The season's over. Who cares?
You seem very negative this morning.
You trying to be positive?
Well, Chase
They're up 33 donut at halftime.
Lou Malnati's Pizzeria, Look Who's Cooking, Chase McLaughlin. There you go.
Yeah, 5 field goals. Good for Chase. Order.loumalnatis.com. We love Lou's. We love the Lou pies. Colts stink. Season's over. Who cares about what's going to happen with Jonathan Taylor or anybody else? Who cares? Whatever. Put him on the couch. Put some ice on it. Heal it up. Get ready to go for 2023. That's what the Colts should be doing, too. Like, Jeff Saturday should be on the couch right now just like, I don't know, icing his brain or something.
The division's still in play, Derek.
Mathematically speaking, I looked it up today. They have a 0.9%.
It's not 0%
chance.
Not 0.
So it's less than 1%.
Not 0.
But it is a 0.9%
Last year they
chance.
had about that percentage chance of not making the playoffs, and they found a way.
You're right. It was 92%.
I know.
92%.
You're like, oh, it's a done deal. I'm like, they play the games, and you wanted to go into your little sabermetrics thing. Yeah.
I did say that on the show. Yep, unfortunately.
We have other things to get to, by the way, including our Love That Play. We have Buy It or Bull Schultz. We have the Sage Move of the Week. We have our Hero of the Week, and Quick Hits as well, right?
Yeah.
So we got a big show lined up is what I'm getting at. And we thank you for watching on this episode number 116, 116, Query and Schultz ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
He said it would take me 4 years to graduate.
They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Empty Chair and Schultz rolling along here on a nice Monday. Thanks so much for joining us alongside this empty chair. I'm Derek Schultz, recapping a Colts loss in Minnesota, their 6th in 7 games to fall to 4-9-1 on the season, as they've got a Monday nighter coming up here against Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and a game against the Giants as well, and then a home finale against Houston to round out the most disappointing season, certainly this century, if not even farther back, depending on how far back would you want to go. And now replacing the empty chair is Jay Query.
Come back. Mm-hmm. They could have.
You can't like go to the bathroom when you get here before we tape.
Derek, let me tell you something.
Like, do you need a little canteen?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, it's dark under the table, so I don't have to worry about seeing what's going on.
A couple of things happen when you round the corner in that second century, second half century. Sorry, and then you throw in heart medications.
You blaming everything on heart meds.
The elasticity of one's bladder becomes less agreeable.
You swore at me on the phone. You called me an MF a couple of weeks ago, and then you called me back. You texted me and said it was the heart meds. Like, you're using heart meds for, like, everything. Weight gain, MF bombs, peeing too much. Like, these heart meds are supposed to help you, right? Do they? Maybe you shouldn't take the heart meds anymore if they're causing this many problems in your life. Maybe you should just roll the dice.
Do you not see the side effects?
I mean, no. I think you look fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you always make me comment on your appearance.
What about
your appearance is adequate.
What about the anger flashes?
Well, the anger flashes were always there. They've just been more pronounced lately.
Okay.
Ever since you almost died. They've been more pronounced, yeah.
No, I think I've become more patient.
It's funny because, like, we had a tearful conversation, about our friendship and all of that, like, 48 hours after you had your heart attack.
Oh, that was all.
That was a special moment.
I was medicated up,
and
yeah.
You went, like, every day is a gift style, like Tony Soprano, final season of Sopranos. Every day is a gift. And then now you're Tony in the safe house sitting there with the AK-47 on the bed waiting to avenge anybody who wrongs you. Like, that's how you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've always been.
It's an ugly place to be.
Okay.
Let's get to our, a little bit early for this, but while we're on the NFL topic, it was a thrilling weekend of NFL games. Our Love That Play, which will actually be a little bit of a boost for Colts fans if you're a big Schadenfreude fan.
You know what? My parents, over the weekend, my dad was telling me that they had something go wrong with their furnace, and they called up Love Heating and Air, and they came right out. And my dad said, man, those guys were great. And took care of him, and he was shocked at the reasonable price, by the way, that he was tabbed for the furnace repair. And he said, Jake, thank goodness that you grew up with Chris and John Love, and we know about Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is the website, 317-353-2141. Thank you to Chris and John for taking care of Mi Madre and Mi Padre over there, not far from where they grew up, as a matter of fact. But Love Heating and Air has been around. They treat everybody like that. For over 100 years, Love Heating and Air has been in existence in Indianapolis. Great product, knowledge of product, commitment to keeping you warm in the wintertime, cool in the summertime. That's what you get from Love Heating and Air Conditioning. They bring us each and every week our Love That Play, and this one was easy, Derek.
Yeah, trust me, by the way, from somebody who is muy guapo, that Love Heating and Cooling
What's mi
is
guapo?
Muy bueno with their service.
What is mi guapo?
Muy guapo.
Yeah, what's that?
Very handsome.
What does that have to do with?
You dropped some Spanish. You said mi madre, mi padre, so I just wanted to say, yo soy guapo. No, yo soy muy guapo.
Okay.
Sí.
Tu piquito.
Right? No.
Okay.
No.
And
we'll get that in post. That was the wrong usage.
New England Patriots and the Las Vegas Raiders were tied, right?
Yes.
And the New England Patriots, you don't see this often. They ran the ball for what you would think then they were just going to run the clock out.
Yeah. You're tied. You're playing for overtime. Like, this wasn't a desperation, trailing hook and ladder situation.
But the running back stops and he laterals the ball, right?
Mm-hmm. They actually got pretty far down the field, and then they started going backwards.
And then the guy who got the lateral, receiver, right?
Yeah, Myers, I think.
Jacoby Myers, right?
Yeah.
He gets the ball, and he's running now, and it's now he's about to be stopped, and he wants to keep the play alive. So he looks over his left shoulder, some 20 yards back this way, and he sees Mac Jones, the quarterback.
Poor Mac Jones in all of this.
And he thinks, okay, I'm just going to throw it back to Mac Jones, and then he'll have the hot potato.
Poor Mac Jones. Brutal.
But Mac Jones was standing there, and the ball was not very well thrown by Jacoby Myers. And Chandler Jones intercepted it.
Yeah.
And returned it for a touchdown.
And then he basically just put Mac Jones into the dirt.
Right.
I mean, he ended him.
And the Raiders radio play-by-play guy had a great call where he says,
"Oh, I didn't hear it."
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I got to look it up.
It's great. Lincoln Kennedy, I think, is the analyst. Is it Lincoln Kennedy that's the analyst for the Raiders? And you can hear him like, "Oh my goodness!" And then Josh Horowitz, I believe is his name, had the call and says, on the first night of Hanukkah, it's a miracle for the Raiders.
Wow.
The Patriots call, the Patriots radio call, the Patriots, there's an equal enthusiasm from the play-by-play guy, actually, but there's kind of a silence upon the touchdown, and then the color guy jumps in, and I wish I had who it was. I'm sorry that I don't, but the color guy jumps in and just says, this has to be the dumbest football team I have ever seen. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
It's a great play, though,
for
right?
the Patriots.
Great play.
One thing, while we're on the topic of play-by-play, I wanted to point this out because I heard his calls of this. Kudos to Matt Taylor. I appreciate it when a play-by-play guy, even when something devastating is happening, is still explaining what's going on and doesn't shut down. And one thing, look, and this is play-by-play is very highly subjective. People's preferences differ. But one thing that drove me crazy about Bob Lamey was that if something bad was happening to the Colts, he just shut off. And I'm like, dude, I can't see what's happening. You got to tell me what's going on here.
Right.
Like, I hear cheering in the background. What's happening?
You know the guy that has a great voice, great whatever, Paul Allen of the Vikings?
Yeah. I worry about his health during the games, though.
Well, he's obviously very good. He's got a great voice. Yeah. But like the Vikings-Bills game a month ago or so, where the Vikings, had the crazy ending to that
clip
game.
Went viral.
And they showed the clip of Paul Allen calling it. Well, at the end of the game, when the Vikings basically won the game on a safety, he doesn't explain what happened. He just says, like, Josh Allen, snap. He's down. What's taking so long? Give us a safety. What's taking so long? Give us a safety. And then all of a sudden he just says, the Bills are going to win this game. The Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. And it's like, what happened? He failed to mention that he fumbled the football and it was recovered by the Vikings for a touchdown. Yeah. It was like, what happened?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget in the excitement of the moment, and I'm victim of this as well. I mean, I'm guilty of it. You forget in the excitement of the moment sometimes that your job is to explain what it is that you are seeing. And just be able to deliver that. And sometimes the excitement of the moment overtakes. So I agree with you. Matt Taylor does a really good job of just explaining what's happening so that you can, if you're driving in your car, you can see and envision what's happening.
And on a level like the NFL, this is the best of the best, man. This is 32 jobs, right? So very rarely do they botch calls. These guys are really, really good at what they do. Let's shift over to college basketball. It really just wasn't a great sports weekend in general, especially if you're an IU and Colts fan. Just a really pathetic performance for Indiana at Kansas. Kansas is really good. That's an impossible atmosphere.
Boy,
and what
Kansas.
a home court. I would love to experience that sometime. That's on my list, going to Phog Allen. But, Jake, that game was over 4 minutes into it.
Indiana, same old song and dance here. Indiana's got a really, really, really good player in Trace Jackson Davis. But if teams double down on him and Indiana is reliant on shooting from the outside, they're in big-time trouble.
Trace is taken away too easily. That's always been his problem.
That's a good way of saying
he's
it.
too easy to take away.
Yeah.
And part of that is him being a big, right? He can't initiate. He needs help. He needs the supporting cast to put him in advantageous situations. But I think, look, it's not even Christmas. So I'm not writing the tombstone on Indiana's season or anything like that. Things are going to have to change. But I think what we all do, and I do this too, you fall into the trap of putting too much weight on experience. Well, Race Thompson's back again. Well, Miller Kopp's back again. Those guys aren't very good. And they're never going to be very good. You could give Race Thompson 18 years, and he is who he is. He's a
good player.
Bit player. Miller Kopp is a bit player.
Miller Kopp is frustrating.
And we just we keep waiting for all of these guys to develop and get a lot better. And Indiana's problem is that a lot of guys that they've had, and this predates Woodson. This goes back to Crean even. A lot of the guys they have don't get better.
Right. That's fair.
They just kind of stay the same.
Derek, there are going to be people, and two things about that Indiana game. Number one, Xavier Johnson, I thought it was an Achilles, to be honest with you. Sounds like it's a pretty bad foot injury, and he's going to miss some time. And Indiana's going to have to make up some ground in shooting the ball from the outside because Jalen Hood-Schifino, for example, is a very, very good player at dictating pace and moving the ball around, but I don't think he's a great shooter. And Indiana's going to need shooting. But and kudos to the Kansas fans when Xavier Johnson got hurt for giving him a nice ovation.
Yeah,
I think they
nice.
could see that it was a bad injury.
Now,
people are going to ask, Purdue fans will ask, rightly so, why are you guys leading and talking about Indiana? Purdue is the number one team in the country. Number one, because we expect Purdue to be good at this point.
You had the more prominent game.
And Indiana had the more prominent opponent. They were at Kansas taking on the Jayhawks in Allen Fieldhouse. Purdue taking on Davidson in a cool environment in the Indy Classic, and we'll get to Ball State, who was part of that as well. Zach Edey was again the Zach Edey. I mean, he's really good, and they made plays down the stretch, even their freshmen, to go to the free throw line, hit big shots, salt away an 8-point win over Davidson. But Purdue, Derek, they're going to start the year of 2023 ranked number one because they've got Florida A&M and New Orleans. One would think they're not going to lose that. There are 5 unbeatens left. Can you name the other 4?
No.
Can you try?
No.
Just a guess?
No.
You sure?
You did this last time, and I forgot a bunch of teams that lost.
Steve Alford coached at one of them.
New Mexico's number one.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Con Smith coached at one of them.
Montreal Canadiens.
No. That would be Utah State.
Okay.
Your friend was the mascot for one of them.
Oh, yeah, I did know UConn was undefeated because they beat Butler.
Right.
And looked really impressive doing so.
And the other one tragically just lost their football coach.
Oh, really? Washington State's undefeated?
His current job.
Oh, sorry, Miss State is undefeated.
Mississippi State.
I've seen all of the Mike Leach stuff, and they all kind of blend into one. He kind of coached the same program in like 3 different conferences.
You're right. That's a very good way of saying it. Yeah.
I think if you're putting programs on par, Miss State fans are going to be mad about this.
If Mike Leach had come to the Big Ten, it would have been at Minnesota.
Yeah,
right?
like Texas Tech to me, Miss State and Washington State are all kind of the same.
Yeah,
playing the same
fair.
playground.
That's fair.
As far as that's concerned. No, Purdue just had an opponent that wasn't going away. I mean, Davidson's always well coached, and they execute really well. Purdue, like Indiana, is just they're gonna have to get more from their surrounding cast. Caleb First was great in the second half, but they need consistently more from the surrounding pieces around Edey. I think what I worry about with Indiana, unlike Purdue's going to be fine offensively. Indiana's offense has got to figure it out. They can't be as frantic and laborious as they are on that end. And
good word.
This offense has really not been good for years. You have to probably go back to the Big Ten champs in 2016, the last time this offense was good.
Turning to Ball State,
really
Derek.
Good. Yeah,
good win for
good
them,
week
right?
For Ball State, Michael Lewis and the men's team winning the other game of the Indy Classic against Illinois State. So they are now are they 8-3? 7-4. Sorry, 7-4. On the season. They've got Georgia Southern and Chicago State to end 2022 before jumping into MAC play. And the Ball State women had a week off after a thrilling overtime win against Pitt, and they're in Puerto Rico this week.
You know, I would encourage folks, again, we talked about this, Derek, if you're on the north side of Indy, or south side for that matter, but if you're in the Indianapolis area, you're an hour, not even that, 50 minutes from Muncie. And Worthern Arena really is a cool arena. It has been around now for some 25 years, but it looks brand new.
Yeah.
Beautiful facility, good competitive basketball, and the MAC is really good because, like you see in football, the competitive balance within the conference, you're going to see good games on a regular basis. And Michael Lewis's team is playing well.
888-BSU ticket, ballstatesports.com.
888
BSU
You need
ticket.
to slow down when you say
888-BSU ticket, ballstatesports.com. So where you can find it.
888 BSU ticket.
People can hear me.
Slow it down.
I don't need to.
Just.
I'm Xavier Johnson with this thing. You give me the ball, I'm gone.
I'd like for you to be Xavier. Well, I don't want you to get hurt. 888 BSU ticket. Right?
Speed it up.
Okay.
888 BSU ticket. We have sandwiches to eat.
Ooh, I like
we
that.
have Sage Move to get to.
Did you bring the sandwiches this time?
And we've got the biggest event in the world that happened that we didn't even talk about in this epic final.
Yeah. That's true.
It was fantastic.
It was good.
We'll talk about that when we come back as well.
Right.
It's Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
He said it would take me 4 years to graduate.
They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Welcome back. It is Hoagie time on Query and Schultz. ISC Sports
Is
Network.
that different than Hammer Time?
I was just in there on Sunday, and they were having their holiday party.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Christina was dressed to the nines, had her whole crew there, and it was a festive atmosphere while the Eagles game was going on. So it was even more festive of his atmosphere. But Hoagies and Hops, you guys hear us talk about them all the time. They
Fabulous.
Are
Can I go ahead?
unbelievable.
Can I dive in?
Yeah, go ahead and dive in. 42nd and Boulevard, so the southwestern edge of Midtown. HoagiesandHops.com. They do catering, but it's PA-style Pennsylvania, snacks, cold subs, and the best cheesesteaks in town with our friends at Hoagies and Hops. And every single week on this show, as you know, we do our Hoagie of the Week and Hero of the Week. And this here is perhaps the most unique sandwich that Christina has on the menu. This is called the Zerns. So it's the bread from South Jersey, just like she has with all her cold subs, but a little bit different here. Munster cheese, ring bologna, which is delicious. It's like almost like a smoky bologna salami style meat. Red beet pickled eggs, mayo, and the beer mustard, and lettuce. Sometimes I add onion. I didn't add onion to this one. Lettuce as well, but it's a delicious sando.
Very good. Don't swear.
No, first of all. It's the season, so I don't want to curse because Santa's watching. But it's just a really good sando.
Yeah. It's just a sandwich, Derek.
Sando, short for sandwich. It's a common term. So kind of like pizza and pie.
You're not saving a syllable.
You've never heard the term? Why do you do this? Like, you always shoot down all of my very popular and well-used terms. Like, you've never heard them before in your life.
You say sando is short for sandwich.
Yeah.
You're not saving a syllable. There's
Sando.
It's
Sure I am. When I text you, hey, what do you want on your sando, I save like 4 letters or 3 letters. 3 letters.
You've never texted me that in your life.
Well, we haven't been on a lunch date in a while. I'm off next week. You want to go?
No, it's unlikely.
Want to go somewhere? We can go to Hoagies and Hops.
Okay, I love Hoagies and
If you
Hops.
want.
I don't need you to go
We
there.
just did Hoagies and Hops. Actually, we did just go on a lunch date, didn't we? Fairly recently. Hero of the week.
This is easy.
Lionel Messi and Argentina won an epic final. I don't think you have to be a soccer fan to be completely immersed in the gameplay of just the world's most popular sport played at the absolute highest level possible with 2 of the greatest in the sport, in Mbappe and Messi. I was at the Children's Museum all morning. I kind of forgot the World Cup final.
Okay,
was
good
going
for you.
on. I'm sorry.
I forgot the World Cup
I
was
kind of
going
forgot.
on.
So I came home, and it was a 2-2 game.
Tell me you're American without telling me.
And I'm thinking,
telling me you're
okay,
American.
well, we're going to head for overtime here. And then Argentina scores, and then you're like, oh, great, they're going to win. And then France scores. And then you end up going to overtime, and it's and then penalty kicks as well, and it's high drama, and you see the heartbreak and the elation, and you saw, I'm sure, the aerial footage from Buenos Aires.
Oh, yeah,
it's incredible.
beautiful.
I mean, it looks fake. It looks like a movie set.
Derek, did you see the tweet from Jose Miguel Polanco?
Was that the drone footage? Is that what you're talking about? I did not.
They announced on March 20th, it might have been March 19th of 2015, is when they announced the schedule for the World Cup in 2022.
Wow.
Jose Miguel Polanco, who has 17,000 Twitter followers, probably had like 1,700 this time yesterday, sent a tweet. Timestamp is there to verify it. On March 20th, 2015, at 4:27 p.m. The following he tweeted. December 18th, 2022, 34-year-old Leo Messi will win the World Cup and become the greatest player of all time. Check back with me in 7 years.
Wow. And it happened.
331,000 likes.
Yeah. You felt bad that somebody had to lose that match.
It was great. It was a great match.
It was
Now,
great.
it was great. It was fun to watch. It was exciting. We can go into a whole different discussion about penalty kicks. I understand penalty kicks being a part of soccer. When it's the world's biggest prize on the line, you know, that you can have a different discussion there. But
the human body can only
Derek,
take so much.
Here's the thing. This is what I've always said. I don't disagree with that. But it is equally exerting for both teams. So if you were to go into a sudden death overtime playing for one, you know, the next goal wins, then ultimately the team that is the deepest and the most physically conditioned probably wins the match, right? That's part of, you know, the exertion, the depth. That's part of having a great team. But that's another talk show. I did see people like immediately afterwards were like, I wonder what the NFL thinks about everybody watching the World Cup. It's the World Cup final.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFL will do just fine when the Super Bowl's around and 90% of American households are watching it. I mean, you know.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
I saw a stat. 4 billion people watch the World Cup, only 100 million watch the Super Bowl. And I'm like, yeah. Am I supposed to be like surprised by that?
Right.
I mean, what do you want me to say?
Right.
It's apples and bowling balls. So good for Argentina and winning. My default is to root against France. Is that mean of me?
No,
Should I not do that?
I actually was like I found myself leaning towards rooting for Argentina just because I don't know much about Messi, but I know that he's a great player towards the end of his career. I've been to France. I've not been to Argentina. I've been to France, and the people were wonderful, and the city was great, or the country was great. But both of them were good stories.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's also get to our Sage Move of the Week. We'll knock out another one here. As far
Sage
as our
Move of the Week,
segments
by the
go.
way, brought to us each and every week by WGU Indiana, Indiana's largest online accredited university. That's what WGU Indiana is. Did you know that 700,000 Hoosiers have college credits that they have yet to complete, and those credits do not expire? You can always go back and finish your degree. Or perhaps you're thinking about going to college for the first time, but you got a full-time job. You want to be able to work around that. No problem. Ambition never rests, and that's the beauty of WGU with online degrees available for you or work certification as well. WGU.edu/Indiana is the website for the one-stop shopping for all your academic needs. WGU.edu/Indiana, and Sage always keeping an eye on what the goal is. Derek, our Sage move of the week is?
I like the fact that the dude that caught Aaron Judge's 60-second home run ball said, you know what? It's mine. I'm selling it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You want to donate that to the Hall of Fame? Great. You want to hand that back to Aaron Judge for a signed jersey? Great. You want to sell it? Great. It's yours.
And how much did he get for it?
Well, he turned down $3 million.
Yeah.
And then he only got $1.5. But it sold on auction. The seller is Corey Yeomans. Come get your mans. Caught the ball at Globe Life Field in Texas during that was the season finale, wasn't it, when Judge hit, or was it the second to last game?
I think it was second to last.
Okay, maybe it was the second to last game. Turned down $3 million for the ball. Got $1.5. Still, the McGuire 70th is the highest selling ball of all time. $3.05 million.
I thought the McGuire 70th.
62 got donated to Cooperstown. I'm 99% sure.
62 was caught by the team, right?
Oh, was it?
Well, didn't it go? Remember, it barely made it over in left field.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It was a laser. I remember that. It was like a really anticlimactic home run. But I know that went right to Cooperstown, whereas I knew the 70th ball was sold, and then, of course, this one was sold.
You know, did you see the article that said that there was perhaps a new baseball this year that was wound tighter, and that it went to like 6 different stadiums, and one of them was Yankee Stadium, and people are like, see, there it is. It's not a legit 62.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to do whatever they want. Baseball sometimes gets in its own way with news releases and things like that, but people are going to think whatever they want about that. Probably.
Aaron Judge was a cool story, for sure.
Yeah, it was.
Cool story.
Yeah, we'll see how that contract ages, but not my money.
Correct.
Not my money, so I don't care. Pacers on the struggle bus. Is it weird to not exchange gifts with your significant other for the holidays? And buy it or bowl bleep.
Okay.
When we come back to wrap up the show. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
I didn't get you anything, by the way.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey and Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey and Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. You're Corey and Schultz.
Are you sure?
Sports Network. Yeah.
I thought we had one more segment.
Nope. Segment 4.
Okay.
We are reducing the show a little bit.
Okay.
Vince, Rake, Jordan, thanks to everybody behind the glass for making this show possible. Can I ask you something? Mm-hmm. I want you to not
Actually, may I would be the correct. May I ask?
I don't want you to be a jerk about it, like what you're doing right now. I don't want you. I don't want you to do this.
I mean, I'm not stopping. Of course, you can.
I don't want you to do this when I ask
you
this question.
You are capable.
Ashley and I don't exchange gifts for holidays. The approach that we've always had is that if we want something, and we're not super materialistic, like she's the least materialistic person. I think I have more shoes than Ashley does. We just get it. And we've always approached it also as it's not my money and her money, it's our money.
Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
And so, like, we don't really see the point. Like, I'm not judging anybody else. I think it's far more normal to exchange gifts between your significant other, but we've just never done that way. And I think around the holidays, I always try to like find if there's anybody else like me that's out there or like us that does that. Because I know you and Shannon obviously exchange gifts.
I think once you have kids, it's kind of understandable because you're doing.
Yeah.
That's probably. But
this was the case well before James.
To your point, like if you take Shannon and I, for example, I mean, we do things together all year long. So it's like, well, what? And I mean, that would be the case with anybody who's married too. But, it's like, well, I don't. Like I ask her all the time, like, what do you want for Christmas? I don't know. I mean, you kind of run out of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm not going to say that's – I think it's probably unusual, but I don't think it's odd. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
I think it is sensible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't think to yourself like, well, I'm going to go ahead and just get something.
Like, I think it's perfectly fine for you to get Shannon a necklace and for her to get you like tanning bed toner or something. Whatever. Like that's a normal thing for people to exchange. But like if I'm you and I want to get tanning bed toner, I just go and buy it. Like I don't need somebody to gift that to me. That's kind of my approach.
They try to upgrade. They try to upsell you on the toner. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do buy.
Do you have the unlimited?
I just had to start buying cream to put around my eyes. That then when I sleep at night with the eye patch, to keep my eyes from puffing too much. Because I've noticed now that I'm doing the morning, I'm not getting as much sleep. God. And my eyes were starting to ring a little bit. Do you notice rings around my eyes?
So embarrassing.
I'm just saying.
Let's get the bite or bull bleep. You'll never be embarrassed with the work that Chateau Kitchens does on your house.
That is correct.
They are fantastic. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Insta and Facebook. For before and after pictures. About to start the process of working. Well, we've already started the process about them working on our basement. So what's going to suck about them doing our basement is getting all the crap that's in my basement out of the basement. Because it's just been, the basement's kind of the catch-all. It's like the junk drawer of your house, at least for us. Here's what we do with Chateau Kitchens, bite or bull bleep. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we bite or it's bull bleep. You ready for statement one?
Okay.
Statement one, this is Matt Ryan's last season, bite or bull bleep.
With the Colts or period?
Period.
I buy it.
Yeah. Me too. I think there is a very good chance.
There's no way the Colts can bring him back.
I don't know.
It's over.
I'm not going to pretend to know Matt Ryan personally. He's been here for 5 minutes. He strikes me as a person that isn't going to push it. Like, I think deep down he knows.
I think he pushed it this year.
Yeah. But he didn't know that until you saw it, right? I think deep down he knows it's over. No one's going to pay him close to what he's getting paid now.
Derek? Are they going to go out now and get like Aaron Rodgers and
oh God, I hope not.
Kick the can again?
They're definitely going to draft a quarterback. They might bring in a veteran to sit there and hang out in that seat for a little bit, but they're going to draft a quarterback.
In that case, you just re-sign Foles for a year, right?
Yeah, I guess if you want to do that. But yeah, I think this is all she wrote. I don't think there's anything left for him to do either. He's probably going to be as much as it pains people. People get real upset about this. Like Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. I know they aren't Brady or Manning. They're Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
They've been great quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're Hall of Famers.
I mean, the same people that would sit here and jump up and down to tell you that Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers are not Hall of Famers, on the other hand, would give you an hour dissertation on why Kenny Anderson should be.
I know, yeah.
It's the same player.
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same exact thing. That's a good example. Statement two, with transfers and opt-outs, you can't make bowl games say anything about anything. Bite or bull bleep?
I would
at
buy
this
that.
point, right?
It's becoming
becoming
tougher and tougher, right? I mean, it's just like,
didn't Florida just get shellacked by who did Florida get blown out by?
Oregon State. Go Beavs. Kai Steffi and I, big Oregon State fans.
That's the perfect
Let's go
example.
Beavs.
Like that bowl game for Florida, you're Florida. You don't care about the.
They were down 30-0. They kicked a field goal with 30 seconds left.
You don't care about the who the F cares bowl. If you're Oregon State, you're like, hell yeah, who the F cares bowl? Let's go. Let's get this trophy. Beaver up or whatever. What are they? Go Beavs or Beaver? They say Beaver up. Like boiler up.
They just say go Beavs.
But with beavers.
And they do a chainsaw sound because it's like it's a forestry school.
You don't do beaver up?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I've never been to Corvallis, Oregon, which is where they play.
Corvallis.
But yeah, it sucks. It sucks that this is the way with bowl season, but it is what it is. Statement three, Christmas on the weekend is the absolute worst.
Oh, no question. What's the best day for Christmas to fall on?
Like a Wednesday. Right?
I think it is.
Because then you're punting the middle of the next week, too, with New Year's Eve and New Year's. So you're kind of punting 2 weeks.
So, okay, If it's on a Wednesday, that means Christmas Eve is on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So do people go to work Monday?
No. And Thursday, Friday, here, we got to get out. I'm getting the wrap up here.
Okay.
So, yes, it is the worst.
It's horrible.
Thanks to Lou Malnati's, Bailey and Wood, Ball State, Chateau Kitchens, WGU Indiana, Love Heating and Cooling. Who am I missing? Anybody? Thanks to all the guys back there,
WGU,
too.
did you mention
Thanks
that?
to you
Lou
for
Malnati's?
watching. Yes.
Bailey and Wood?
We'll see you next time here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.